whoa. Sorry, I'm a little punchy today. I feel like a good mask.
Yeah.
For, single-digit weather and terrible roads, it's a good crowd.
Yeah?
Oh, you know what? Someone else should be on there. Can I just check it real quick?
Oh, good.
Maybe it's next week. Maybe my grandmother's next week. Okay, cool. Thanks. Jim! Shabbat shalom. Good to see you. How are you? Happy Hanukkah. What'd I do? Oh my gosh. Love to. I know we're really great. And I want to tell you, I chose the date I chose because it has one of the four for Torah setting. Yes, because it has one of the 4 times that we hear a certain trope. Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's a crazy one.
Still doing your trope class?
I'll ask her.
She hasn't started it for this year, but
You should.
I'm sure we'll get her to do it again. Yeah. All right. Hi, friends. If you have a Chanukiah, come on up, get it all set. What night is this?
6,
This is the
I
6th
believe.
night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, good. You want to start singing, and they'll start.
Yeah.
So we're gonna start singing. We have a couple of handouts that we invite you to kind of get from outside. One is going to be the same little handout that we always have, and then we have one with a few songs. One of them, this right on the cover, is "We Were Going to Begin Tonight." So join along as we kind of get organized and have everybody get their candles all lit. Tonight's the 6th night. I double checked.
Oh, Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance a hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. If you want to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance a hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Zevi want to play with and latkes to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night, they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Sevivon, sof, Hanukkah, hu chatov, Hanukkah, hu chatov. Sevivon, sof, Hag simcha hu la'ad. gadol hayasham, nes gadol hayasham, chag simcha u'la'am, zevivon sof sof sof, Hanukkah hu chag tov, Hanukkah hu chag tov, zevivon sof sof sof, chag simcha u'la'am, nes gadol hayasham, nes gadol hayasham, chag simcha u'la'am.
You folks were very cute trying to sing those old songs. I thought that was really quite lovely. All right, if you have a Chanukiah here, we're going to invite you to turn to page 572 for the blessings, and come on forward, stand by your Chanukiah. Stand by your Chanukiah. If there is somebody who didn't bring your own, we have one up here and you can light this one.
Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, good. So the blessings are on 572. So you can light up the shamash. Everybody ready? We have, well, there's a lighter. We have some matches all around the tables. The shamash is going to be the taller one, right? You can come from behind if you want. That might
The
be
tallest
easy.
one of you can be the
Stretching.
shamash and light
All
the
right.
others. Okay.
Everybody light that's the littlest thing.
Let's join together. Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Chanukah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa nisim lavoteinu ve'imoteinu v'hayamim ha'el v'azman hazeh. Oh, yay.
All good.
Oh, but that one's not lit.
Oh, we have one more. Right.
No, it might have just gone out. It happens.
One more. Your sisters? Yeah, I'm kidding.
Well, actually, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, I didn't remember.
You got it.
That you were sisters. Okay, good.
Everybody's good? Okay.
It's a trick one.
Wonderful. So at the bottom of the page, you can follow along. The words are going to be a little bit different from what the cantor's going to be sharing, but come and follow along.
So actually, I have a very important job for all of you, if you're up to it. And I think you are. You're all here on a very cold night. So I need you to be my duet. You're going to sing with me, but you're going to sing a different part. So this is how it goes. Your part. Yabba bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam. That's it. That's your part. And you just keep repeating it. Yabba bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam. Yabba bim bam bim bam bim bam. It's a little feeble. I think you can do better. Bim bam. Yeah. Yabba bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim. Okay, you got it. You got that. Okay, good. So this is a prayer that we say after we do the candles, and we're basically saying that we light these lights for the miracles and wonders and the struggles that God performed on our behalf for our ancestors long ago during this season. So that's what I'll be singing, but in Hebrew, and you have your part. Okay, so let's start together. Yabba bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bam bim bum, bim, bum. You're doing great. Bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim. Keep going. Abba, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim, bum, bim. Hanerot halalu anachnu madlikin. Al hanisim ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavoteinu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh al yedei kohanecha hahadoshim. You're doing great. Now we're going to stop for a second. So good. V'chol shmonat yemei Chanukah, v'chol shmonat yemei Chanukah, ha'anerot halalu kodeshem, yaba, bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, bim bam. Bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, yaba bim bam, 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 yaba bim bam, 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 yaba bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, bim bam, bim. Hey, good job. Great job.
That was sweet. Let's turn back to 120. Now that all of these lights have been lit, we still are going to bring another kind of light into this space, into our lives. We're going to light our Shabbat candles. I'm going to ask, we have, if you have been out of town and you're back to visit your parental units, we invite you to come forward. If you're younger and you're in college or high school or middle school, we invite you folks to come forward and we can light these candles together. Page 120. All right, there's like 30 of you. And Raphael's the only one willing to come. That's great. I lead the way. Yes, you too. Who can I trust to light the candles?
It's just a match. You got this. Oh, yeah.
Right here. Oh, try again. Just leave it right there, yeah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Thanks, friends. Shabbat Shalom. Let's turn forward 123. We invite you to rise if you are able. We can make a kiddush together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lema'asei v'reishit ki hu yom techilah lamikra'e kodesh zeicher litziat mitzrayim ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidash בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
לחיים.
L'chaim. We can be seated. 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Let's turn forward to 146. We ask you to rise again. We'll move into Baruch Hu together.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai lai yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 yai lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
152.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Let's be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Let's read together in 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Let's turn the page. Let's turn again. 161 and 160. We begin with the English at the top of the page, and then we move to the Hebrew on the top of 160. And join along.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. V'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's
164. We invite you to rise if you are able. We move into the tefillah.
Adonai sefatai titach ufi agitei latecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imahot, U'mevi Geula livnei v'nei-ham, Leman Shemo ve'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atarav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha bal gevurot, Umidom melach, Melech meimid, Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah le'achayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukroshim bechol yom yehalelucha sela. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
May be seated. Join with me, 177. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Lecha Na'eh Lehodot. Let's turn the page.
Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael, bechol עת ובכל שעה, בשלומך כל ישראל עמך תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם.
Let's take some time for our own personal prayer. You can follow in the Siddur on 179 through 181. Choose a reading to reflect upon, or just take some time for your own private prayers and reflections. We'll come together again shortly at the bottom of 180.
Shalom, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Shalom, Bimromav. Oh, say shalom, Bimromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. Hu yaseh shalom. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down.
371 in the middle of the page. After these prayers for peace, we stretch a little further and share a prayer for wholeness and for healing. If you took one of these little handouts and you open it up in that middle column there, you'll see folks' names shared by others within our congregation. We're going to join together and keep these folks in our prayers. But if there are some of you who would like to share the name out loud, we invite you just to call them out and lift them up. Even if we're all saying them all together, it's okay. We're going to just share these names, and then we'll join together in a prayer for healing. And 71 in the middle of the page.
Misha and let us say, Amen.
Sometimes we have prayers for peace, sometimes prayers for healing. Sometimes we share a prayer because something special is happening in our lives, or perhaps has already happened in our lives. So I'm going to invite forward Nick and Elaine. If you folks come and join us. It's their B'nai Mitzvah this weekend. We're giving you a cross pen. So it's so nice to have you folks here with us, with parts of your family, and we get to celebrate a little bit with you, something that is really just extraordinary. I think it's amazing to be able to find love wherever we are in our lives, and then to bring our loved ones together again, get married in Mexico, not bad, but have other times and experiences where you get to bring your nearest and dearest together to celebrate your love. And that is exceptional, and it's beautiful, and the world needs more of that. And we are happy for you and for your family. So we just want to share a little blessing since we couldn't be in Mexico with you. We have a blessing to share. You have committed yourselves to each other in joy and in faith. May there be tenderness between you. Let each of you be gentle and understanding and quick to forgive each other's faults. We pray that God help you to create a union of hands for honest labor and fruitful effort, to work together in joy and be stronger still in sorrow. And may God give you the wisdom to look forward beyond yourselves to see that your marriage will be all the more meaningful and joyful with your families. Our teachers say that the essential elements are found in the Hebrew word for marriage. It's called nisu'in, and the root nasa means to carry, it means to forgive, and it means to ascend. Nasa. Marriage, as you both well know, is an awesome responsibility. And there's a need to forgive, sometimes maybe even to forget. It's required in any mature relationship. But the ultimate test of an exemplary marriage is whether it is nisu'in, a source of ascending, of uplift, for inspiration. So for all that is good that is about to come for your marriage, we join you in giving thanks. And we share a prayer, source of all life, Mekor HaChaim. We ask for your blessing for Elaine and Nick. We pray that the sacred commitments of their marriage will sustain them all the days of their lives. May the love that binds them be lasting, and let their hearts be filled with patience and understanding. May their home be a mikdash ma'at, a sanctuary built on devotion to sacred and brave spaces. May they be blessed with health and courage as their love and friendship deepens through the years. We pray that they will enjoy good fortune, another trip to Mexico one day, and that they find shalom together. Amen.
Amen.
Mazal tov.
Simen tov, mazel tov,
Mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Hey lanu, hey lanu, hey lanu, u'lechol Yisrael. Hey lanu, hey lanu, u'lechol Yisrael.
Hey lanu, hey lanu, u'lechol Yisrael. Hey lanu, hey lanu, u'lechol Yisrael.
Any others? They're taking them. Good. So let's talk a little bit about Hanukkah, right? 'Tis the season, so they say. One might think that all of Hanukkah, the hoopla that we see and lighting of all of these Chanukiot, right? A Chanukiah is the Hanukkah menorah, the Hanukkah lamps, that it's all about kind of this competitive spirit with our neighbors and lights outside, and that's not really what it's about. Sure, maybe the gift giving kind of falls into that place, but there is something that is significant about Hanukkah all on its own. There's a history, there's lighting lights, there is a rededication. That's what Hanukkah means, dedication, like from lechanech, which is to educate, to teach, right? So we have a tradition of putting Chanukiot in public spaces. In the Aramaic, this is what our ancient ancestors spoke once upon a time, was Aramaic. They would call it Pirsumei Nisa. They would say that we need to publicize this miracle. So what's the miracles that are happening in Hanukkah? Well, there are some that are miracles, and there are others that, I don't know. But we're going to talk about a couple of things that could be miraculous, and then I have something to show you that's a little bit more on the contemporary side. So, if you go back to the year 168 before the Common Era, you have this Syrian Greek king whose name is Antiochus, or some would say Antiochus Epiphanes, and he sent his soldiers to Jerusalem. Now, these Syrian Greeks captured Jerusalem. They desecrated the Holy Temple, the holiest place for Jews at that time. And Antiochus was also working to abolish Judaism in general, outlawing observances, Shabbat, holy days, our sacred ritual practices. There were altars and idols that were set up to worship Greek gods. And he offered the Jews two options: conversion or death. We've kind of heard about that before along the way. But on the 25th day of the Hebrew month of Kislev, 168 before the Common Era, the temple was renamed for the Greek god Zeus, and a Jewish resistance movement stepped forward. And it was led by a family of priests known as the Hasmoneans. We know them often as the Maccabees, and that resistance began. And even though they were hugely outnumbered, outarmed, these Maccabees led by Judah, these fighters miraculously won major battles. Now, from this abridged version of the Hanukkah story, we see a few themes that emerge. We see self-determination. We see religious freedom. We see sovereignty and independence. We even see in the text aspects of how do we struggle with Jewish identity and keep it going, particularly under threat. Now, we already said that Hanukkah means dedication, so a lot of people are looking at Hanukkah time as a rededication of kind of reorienting ourselves to what it might mean to be Jewish or observe Judaism. We have lots of things to think about, but there's this small but mighty group of Jews fighting off this massive Syrian Greek army. I think that's kind of a miracle. But the rabbis who came after the Hasmoneans, they were a little uncomfortable with these Jewish resistance fighters thinking that it was all in their hands, that they had the power to defeat this massive enemy without God. And so the rabbis create another message for us. It's that cruse of oil that we know about, enough for one day, but it lasts 8 days. Imagine if you have only 12% left on your phone and it lasts the entire holy day experience. That's what they were talking about. And it was a miracle that only a little bit of oil was able to last and light the menorah for all of those days. So the rabbis were trying to say that, see, God is the maker of miracles. It's not just what happens from our own hands. Okay, I get their point too. I'm not convinced it really happened that way. I've never had that happen on my phone. But there's something that we're supposed to learn about miracles from these two connected stories, myths, truths. How can they both be true at the same time? I think there's a partnership in making miracles. I think we can't only wait for God's intervention. In fact, for me, I'm not convinced that God can intervene even when we want God to. I'm not so, God bless you. That's part of my job, isn't it? So even when we want that moment, I'm not so sure that God's going to fix things for us. But that doesn't mean that there aren't miracles. I think we're part of this incredible tapestry of creation, and we are such a big part of it, and at the same time, such a small part of it. And everything that we get to encounter, I think, is kind of miraculous. I actually think miracles happen when there's a partnership between us and God. God provides the strength. God helps me see the world with hope, and I'm able to tap into whatever gifts I've been given, we've been given, and try and make a difference out in the world. So I want to share with you two more modern miracles. Now, I don't have enough copies for everybody, but we're gonna pass some of these out. So like, you're gonna do some sharing, right? And don't worry, this isn't a test. Some of you are looking nervous. Just kind of share them around and pass them around. I didn't want you to cheat, though, beforehand, so we held on to it. You can just take and pass them all around. There we go. And there's some for you guys back here. All right. There should be enough for you folks to share. So one of these pictures, look where it says the Posner family menorah. It's not a great picture. Some of you, it's very dark, but this is a real powerful image. This Chanukiah belonged to Rabbi Akiva and Rachel Posner of the Jewish community of Kiel in Germany. Now, they moved to the land of Israel. At that time, it was called Palestine in 1933, before Israel becomes a state. And they took this famous picture. And if you look carefully through the window behind the Chanukiah, you're going to see a Nazi flag. Some of you are making faces. That's okay. On the back of this photo, we see a note from Rachel Posner. And it writes, she's written in German, "Death to Judah, so the flag says. Judah will live forever, so the light answers." In the Talmud, we are commanded to actually have these Chanukah lights, these Chanukiot, on the outside of our homes. And if it can't be outside on the home because you're on a top floor, then it has to be in the window facing the public sphere, the street, the area. I meant to say square. And if, according to the Talmud, it says, if it's dangerous to be Jewish in your time period or community, then you have to light it away from the window and you put it on the table in your kitchen. It has to be indoors. It doesn't have to be seen out front for everybody. If you visit Israel around Hanukkah time, there's going to be a lot of these little oil Chanukiot outside of somebody's door, on the outside of the building. It's lovely. It's amazing. But according to the Talmud, remember, that's in the 600s or so, if it's dangerous outside for Jews, you light it on the inside. I think it's a miracle that this family put their menorah out right opposite, just opposite this Nazi flag in their offices, whatever they were doing there. Everybody has access to a picture? Are we good sharers? Yeah? Okay, good. So that's the first part. Look at the back picture. The back picture is another miracle. Now, this was a picture that's staged. Frederick Brenner is a very famous French Jewish photographer, and he has this really incredible book called Diaspora, and he takes pictures of Jewish communities around the world in the 90s, and it was published in the early 2000s. And he creates this photo because in Billings, Montana, do you remember this? Some of you do. I see some of you nodding. In Billings, Montana, there was a lot of skinheads and white supremacists that were moving to town, and they were creating a lot of damage and doing a lot of vandalism, and there was a brick that was thrown through a child's bedroom. A 5 or 6 year old at the time went through his bedroom window because that window had a Hanukkah menorah, a Chanukiah kind of hanging from it. And the brick landed on his bed, but he wasn't in his bed at that time. It was very fortunate. The Schnitzer family was active in community organizing at the time. And they talk to some friends, and it makes it to a pastor and another woman who's working with this pastor, and they say that people should hang up Chanukiot in their homes, in their cars, in their businesses, all throughout Billings. She was actually inspired by the Danish Jews saving Danish people saving Danish Jews and getting them out of the country before the Nazis infiltrated. And she said, we should do something so dramatic, let's have these Chanukiot in everybody's windows. So people started doing it. And more rocks and bricks were thrown through the windows of churches and homes and cars. And finally, they get an article about it, and the Billings Gazette puts a big menorah as a full-page ad, and you have thousands of people in Billings, Montana, with these Chanukiot in their windows. Frederick Brenner takes an artistic approach of what that was. That's what this picture is. That's another miracle. I find that there's a few miracles that are happening here. There's people that are courageous enough to be able to outwardly say to the world that we're standing in solidarity, shoulder to shoulder with other people, even if it's such a tiny Jewish community, we're going to stand shoulder to shoulder. And by the way, there are other racist acts going on and white supremacist acts going on in Billings, Montana at that point in the late 90s, the mid-90s. The other thing is, sometimes when it's my own home, we're not so sure how we get to start that kind of a message for others to follow, but others are always going to follow us. Not because we're so exceptional, but because somebody has to go first. We have to try and bring some goodness and strength to others to make something like this contagious. That's what I think is miraculous about the human experience, how we can inspire others just by being present. A little bit later on, there's a really thoughtful rabbi in Jerusalem, an Orthodox rabbi. He died not so long ago. His name is David Hartman. I want to tell you what he wrote. He wrote, the miracle of the first day was expressed in the community's willingness to light a small cruse of oil without reasonable assurance that their efforts would be sufficient to complete the rededication of the temple. Hanukkah celebrates the miracle expressed by those who lit the lamp, and not only the miracle of the lamps continued burning for 8 days. Hartman is telling us the miracle is lighting it in the first place and not knowing what the outcome was going to be, but still going to light that lamp. Maybe it's lasting for 8 days. Maybe it's just lighting it in the first place. The miracle of Jewish spiritual survival throughout its history of wandering and oppression may be best described by our people's strength to live without guarantees of success and to focus on how to begin a process without the knowledge of how it would end. So maybe miracles tonight is our willingness to light the candles in the first place, to take a step to build a future with light. And that's why we put them out front in our windows. We spread light, and by that, we spread hope and resiliency and a little courage, things we cannot ever let other people extinguish. So, we'll invite you to learn something new with us. Page 556 in our Siddur, in our prayer book. A melody, a classic melody in a traditional text about miracles.
So this is said, it's actually a text that's not only read on Hanukkah, but also on Purim. And for similar reasons. The text reads, "We give thanks for the miracles, for the times you saved us, for the mighty acts, for the victories, and for the battles you waged for our ancestors in those days and at this time." So this prayer is about those miracles. So I need your hands to clap with my hands, okay? So, it may be a little rhythmically off, but we're going to embrace it. So we're kind of going to be like, oh, I forgot to get my tambourine. Okay, it's okay. Yeah. So the melody goes like this. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. You were right. There was, would have been better to clap again there. I saw you going for that. That was good. Let's try it again. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Beautiful. Now, same words, different melody, more clapping. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Al hanisim ve'al hapurkan ve'al hagvurot ve'al hatshuot ve'al hamilchamot she'asita lavotenu bayamim hahem bazman hazeh. Great rhythm. It was beautiful.
586. At the bottom of the page, we invite you to rise if you're able.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
May be seated. Zichronam levracha, may their memories be for a blessing. If you are observing a yahrzeit, the anniversary of one's death, or if you are in a period of mourning, we invite you, if you choose, to rise for a moment, share the name of the one whom you are remembering, and then we'll continue with additional names from the community. Would you go first?
My grandmother and Bobby's great-grandmother, Mama Alita Burner.
Yeah. Jim.
Our son and brother Peter.
My mother, Regina Friedman.
My father, Paul.
My sister Carolyn. My uncle Paul Torres.
My sister-in-law, Mary Ann Becker.
My grandfather, Steve Hastings. My father, Joseph Schwartz, and my beloved friend, Louis Silver.
My father's father, my grandfather, Rupert Marcos. My sister-in-law,
My sister, Annette Greenberg.
My Aunt Frida Bueller.
We also remember in the period of Shloshim, those first 30 days, Frida Bernhardt, the sister-in-law of Muriel Aijison, Ellie Kramer, Eleanor Kramer, the mother of Jennifer Kramer and a grandmother of Sam and Jake Rosenbaum, Jay Levy, the brother of Karen Braverman, Louise Silvern, the wife of Steve Silvern. Those yahrzeits that fall this week that has passed, we recall the names of Alan Alkin, Orma Berner, Paul Bodner, Caroline Clare, David Barry, Francis Drogan, Isaac Aragus Nathanael, Regina Friedman, Annette Greenberg, Caden Holmes, Melvin Kamens, Semyon Kushlev, Selma Langer, Paul Latora, Ruben Margolis, Travis Milstein, Mildred North, Ruben Panner, Erna Pekarsky, Gordon Platt, Sylvia Rivkin Singer, Rabbi Herbert Rose, Edward Sears, Joseph Schwartz, Harry Sheichman, Ashley Siegel, Rabbi Daniel Jeremy Silver, Harriet Stern, Ellen Toby Holmes, Joe Walensky, David Warschauer, Ronald Wilder, Isidore Winkler, Mildred Yanoff. Kaddish is on page 598. We stand together, symbolically holding our friends up, standing shoulder to shoulder with them. 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yamechon, v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'meru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach leolam omei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dukedisha berichu. Le'ala min kol berachata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran ve'alma v'meru amen. Yehei shlam Rabbah min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'meru amen. V'oseh shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'meru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved here and everywhere. Let's say amen. Amen. May be seated. Let's conclude our service with a couple of our Hanukkah melodies, page 669.
Ma'osur Yeshuati Mechana El Shabbat Tikon Beit Tefilati V'shom Toda Nizabeach Ve'etachim Matbeach Mitzaram Nabeach Azekmur B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach Azekmur B'shir Mizmor Chanukat HaMizbeach. Rock of Ages, let our song praise your saving power. You amid the raging foes were a sheltering tower. Furious they assailed us, but your arm availed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us, and your word broke their sword when our own strength failed us.
The next song down the same page.
Now, if your hands weren't sore after all Hanisim, they're gonna be sore. But you need to do it. I need you. Okay, we need you. We need you. So there's a clapping pattern. It's 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, actually, it's 9 all total. Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you ready?
Yes. Yes. Wait.
Same page. Ready?